And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. Leicester have just won 3-0 at home to West Brom. Fantastic performance. We've got Rich for the first time in a long time. Rich, how are you doing? And just give us a summary of that result for us.
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thanks, guys. It's been way too long since I've been on. But no, I'm glad to come back to such a great result, especially after the last result of the weekend as well. So, yeah, I mean, the summary of the match was the first half was probably the easiest half that we've had. Second half wasn't much harder, but we just weren't as good and as clinical. So, yeah, a brilliant full game where we just dominated them and made them look like a lower league team. So.
Yeah. And you can see which one they're going back to the championship as well. So yeah, absolutely fantastic at the moment. Brilliant. Thanks for Mark's. Make sure you check out Mark's channel. I'll try and leave a link below when this is fully done. If you type in it's 11, it's 11. It's Heaven for Jamie Vardy podcast. Really, really good. But anyway, back to you, Alex. What are your thoughts on the game? Because again, just sensational win.
Yeah, I know it was sensational. And, I think this was a statement game, especially with all the craziness that has gone on this week. I think what I mentioned beforehand was I think both teams are going to come into this game extremely hungry. And, Leicester City really came in and delivered a performance. The game was over in 45 minutes, which was fantastic, and Vardy getting, breaking his goal as Strout was another perfect thing. Nacho getting another goal. It was, in my eyes, perfect team performance.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, to be fair. The first half, sensational play, to be honest. As you were saying, they played into our hands, Rich, but just that first half, overall, we were just all over them. Yes, West Brom weren't great, and people were writing, I looked at the last couple of results, bearing in mind, they won 3-0 against Southampton. They won 5-2 away at Stamford Bridge. Absolutely fantastic that we got 3 goals past them. Just what a performance in the first half. And again, there's so many players you could pick from. So whatever you want to go and wherever you want to go with that, because it's just so many amazing performances.
I think, yeah, and I think Alex said it really well, that it was a team performance. And we always say that whenever we win, it's very rarely that, one person just destroys it and the rest of the team were terrible. But for me, I think that Maddison had a point to prove by the look of it. I know he said it, but he did look like he had a point to prove. Vardy was his typical self, still running around, buzzing around. I'm so glad he got his goal. So glad. And he had other chances as well, and he'll just keep getting those chances. So for me, it's difficult to pick out one player because I think everyone was. I mean, for me, I think one of the best players on the pitch is probably going to be is going to go under the radar a bit, which was Ndidi, because I think he was breaking up play all the time. He genuinely made them look horrendous all by himself at one, like for a good half an hour. It's just they would get the ball and he would be there and say, no, that's not how this is going down, guys. And then he would get the ball back and then we'd go on an attack. So the player I would focus on initially would be Ndidi, just for his work ethic off the ball. He was brilliant.
Yeah, he really was. Alex, your thought on Ndidi? Because again, today I thought he had a game that, again, as Rich was saying, an underrated game, but what he brought to the table was just that calmness, collectedness. Don't worry, lads, I've got it, and just breaking up the play. And also something, he was running forward a lot. There was balls going forward. He was like, right, I'm going to try and get this, and then try and hit him on the counter.
That's one of the things I love about Ndidi. There's games that he is, vital and he's present and you notice everything he does. Whereas you have games like today where you're like, you know what? I didn't see a lot from him, but you know exactly what he did when he did it. Because there's times that I did notice him, like he executed that perfectly. And those are the games where, he might not be the most highlighted, like I said, but he gets the job done. And that's one thing, especially with our midfield. When you have the likes of, Tillemans and Ndidi sitting in that midfield, even if one of them's having an off game, they both, contribute in some way, shape, or form. And usually when one of them's on, the other one is also on. But no, I have to give it to Ndidi as well. He did play more of a quiet game, but when he was needed and required, he executed perfectly.
Yeah, and exactly. And then we've came into the game. A lot, again, as you were saying, people are saying, as Mark was saying, great hard performance, dominant. West Brom they didn't have a chance to because we didn't let them, but also they weren't that good. But at the same time, Rich, we just need to take credit in what Leicester have done well, because at the end of the day, you can only beat who's in front of you. And again, I was saying, they have beaten some big oppositions before. They've put big goals past big teams as well. So now, just coming into that, I think we'll start from the beginning. So it was about 3 minutes, and Nacho does he wins the ball back from the defensive, and he's thinking, a little bit of a heavy touch, but I don't know about you, but I wasn't worried. I was thinking, that's a bit of a shame, but I know we'll get a goal sooner or later just for the run he's on.
Yeah, and I think we looked dangerous from the start, which is something that sometimes, when we've had these bad results previous to the FA Cup semi-final, we have had, yes, Glenn, and I agree with Diego's point, by the way, is a couple of comments ago about essentially a joint man of the match, a collective man of the match award. Yeah, fair play to Diego's comment there. I think that with the run that Nacho's on, you just go, well, he's going to score, or he's going to get he's going to set something up. And so for me, it was, they are a dangerous opposition. It's love it.
Thanks for that.
Yes, and no, for me, like, they are a dangerous opposition, and they're really well drilled. Like, they are well drilled, and Sam is a master of bus parking. And he is a master of just stopping people from scoring. So for me, it was a really good result. The fact that they barely did anything against us, and as I'm sorry, I didn't see who put the comment, but who they didn't lay a glove on us, but we just absolutely dominated them. So for me, it was a brilliant performance. Yes, of course it was Mark. Yeah. It was a dominant performance where I remember at one point looked up and I think it was like 73 minutes and it said no shots on target for them, or no attempts. I was like, that is unbelievable. Like, that is ridiculous. So yeah, thoroughly dominant performance against a team that, they're going down and they deserve to go down, but they've put some really good results together recently. They're dangerous.
Yeah, and especially towards the end of the season, just on another podcast earlier, and they were saying, be careful of the teams towards the bottom of the table. They'll be fighting for relegation, and they're going to do everything they can to stop, which is fair, but at the same time, they didn't put up a fight today. But today, just all over the pitch, Alex, just great attacking football. We'll just talk about, also, I'll come back to something I was going to mention earlier. 2 changes today. Luke Thomas comes in for Ricardo Pereira, which is, again, big boots to fill. On that left-hand side, really, really big boots to fill, and then James Maddison as well. So just to get your thoughts on Luke Thomas today, because I think Mark put as well a shout out to Luke Thomas, because for me he was an underrated performance, but he wasn't trying to set the world alight, but at the same time he was doing what he needed to do.
Yeah, and you know what? Also with Castagna, I think Thomas played an excellent game, considering for the fact that he hasn't played a lot this season. That's one thing. When you get thrown into a game like this and into the starting 11, and you're expected to, compete, for a player like Thomas right now, he's young, he has the energy, but at the same time, he hasn't played a lot. So that was, considering the fact that, he hasn't played a lot and, he got thrown in, but, he was faultless. I had nothing really to complain about. And when you don't notice a player and everything's going right, that's good in my books. On the other side, I think Castagna had an amazing game. I think he was just flawless in everything he did, and he's really starting to seem like the player that we had prior to his injury, and that's something really, really exciting to watch.
Yeah, he was just sensational all over the pitch, and especially in that first half, we've seen kind of the underrated side of Castagna as well, which is kind of will sit back, and again towards the second half of the game, he did slot into a position we've not seen before in the right of a back three, and it's a player that obviously with James Justin out, we will need somebody else to come in, and he did that job fantastically. But some of the runs, you forget, Rich, how explosive his engine was in that first half. He was making run, and I think you were saying on the group chat that he could have got a goal. He could have got a couple more times as well. But his play, the engine, just go right. I'm going over there, and then just hit that on such an angle. It's just fantastic.
Well, that's one of the things that when I remember the interview with him when he started, and they said, "What can we expect from you?" And he just went, "I never stopped running." And I remember thinking, okay, well, what does that really mean? And now I get it. He never stops running. Like, every time the camera's on him, he's running. like what I noticed, there was something interesting, right? Even towards the end of the game, and Kasper Schmeichel, yeah, I agree, Ethan. Kasper Schmeichel caught the ball, and Castagne was like, "I'm off." He just like 1 minute, and you're like, "What are you doing? Just calm. It's okay. You can take a chill." And he's like, "No, you know what I mean?" Like it was unbelievable. Yeah, he is the marathon man. Like he just never stops. And he like you said, I agree.
Okay.
That yes, thanks, Ant. I agree with what Alex said, that he just looks like the player. He's looked like he's starting to get back to that. The pre-injury, his shot. I'm gutted that he hit the post. I was so I thought, yes, here we go. He's going to get a goal, but for me, he was absolutely faultless, flawless. Two of the words that we've already said. And I absolutely agree with them. And Luke Thomas, like you say, he's got huge shoes to fill. But this is great experience for him. The more he gets of this, the better. I mean, look what happened to James Justin. He came in because of an injury, and we were all like, "Oh God!" And he just played and played and played. And every week he got better and better. And then all of a sudden we're like, "Hang on a minute, he's better. Like, he's the better player. What's going on?" So look, let's keep it going. We are looking like a formidable team when we get Barnes and when we get James Justin back. Yeah, good luck, Premier League. It's off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just sensational. The fact is the substitution will probably come on to in a bit. Just made the team stronger. I was like, okay, sometimes we beat around you. What are you doing? Why have you made that substitution? Every substitution, I was like, okay, the Mark Albrighton for final one was a little bit dodgy, but I was like, wasn't sure what exactly he was doing. Then I saw afterwards, okay, bringing in Perez for Maddison, bringing in Vardy for Nacho for Pratt, I was like, perfect substitutions. I totally get why you did that. But yeah, another player that we have to mention, and we have to hand this over to you, Alex, because Jamie Vardy, because somebody decided to make a prediction for the first time that never makes a prediction, and it paid off. I wonder who that is. And we're not going to say Ian Stringer because that one's already said.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know what was going on with me today. Everyone knows that I don't predict. I am one of those people. I will ask everybody what the score line
is. Is it a Canadian thing? Because Hannah doesn't predict either.
Yeah, I know Hannah and I don't. I'm superstitious. If you know hockey, I'm a Leafs fan, and that's just depressing. So I don't predict. So I tweeted out being like, Jamie Vardy's going to score. Book it. And I'm sitting here going, please score. It's like I'm terrified that if he doesn't score, everyone's going to be like, you're cursed. And I'm like, yeah, I know I am. But Vardy finally broke that goalless streak, and you could just tell with his celebration, he didn't really celebrate. It was more of a relief, in my opinion, where he was like, finally. And you know what? This is just something that is just not only perfect for him, because I think he finally just needed to get a goal, but it's great for the team because, these are just these small things that, Nacho's been scoring every game, but having Vardy there and, finally getting off that goalless streak, it's just going to be something to, move forward with. And there's just going to be that extra little bit of oomph to, next game, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, Mark was saying the same thing again. Then that was supposed to be new. Alex knew Vardy was scoring exactly. So even if it came to true, so if you got the lottery numbers, mate, send them my way. I could really do with a house in Barbados. But yes, apart from that, just going to get some of your comments. Yeah, West Brom 9 points from safety after today's win. They're pretty much gone at the moment, but we'll have to see. They weren't that too impressive. Another player I want to hand it over to. Obviously, we mentioned the two substitutions. One of them was Luke Thomas, Rich, and the other one, James Maddison, came in, point to prove, start, and go right. This is your opportunity to shine. And do you know what? He took it with both hands. It weren't the best opposition, but you still have to beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, and I think it probably was the best game for him because West Brom. When you have like magnets and you have two the same and it was like that. It was like they were like James Maddison was a positive and they were all positives and they were like, no, we can't get anywhere near him. It was ridiculous. So for me, it was great. But he's still, as you say, he can only be he's in front of him. He still was calling for the ball constantly. He looked dangerous when he got it. Yes, he skied his shot and that's fine. But for me, he looked like he was going to score. He looked like he was going to create chances. He looked like he was going to take the ball in tight spaces and not lose it. He looked like he was going to win free kicks, although no one got close enough to give him a free kick apart from once. So on the whole, I think he played really, really well. I had this, so obviously after everything that happened with this COVID part, and I'm sorry, obviously I know I've not been on since this all happened. I know there was a few comments about, oh, we won't forget and we won't forgive. And I was like, well, yes, you will. Let's not be ridiculous about this. If he goes and
people are so reactionary.
Exactly. And
it's
again,
so
it's
funny.
Emotional. It's an emotional response. And I understand that. However, look, everyone makes mistakes. And don't get me wrong, it was a stupid mistake. And you're in the spotlight. Let's not make mistakes that big and that stupid. However, if he goes out and proves himself, scores a hat trick in the FA Cup final, guess what? We all forgive him. It's fine. So for me, he played really, really well, and let's hope he continues to do that and continues to prove it, just like Perez has done since he's been back. I think he's played really well. So good performance all round.
Exactly, and then I think D. Hayes puts a good point. First half, perfect first half, and then professional second half, getting the job done, which is exactly the idea of seeing out a game. Bearing in mind, I know we've not playing twice a week now, but we are playing on Monday against Crystal Palace, who hopefully will have a preview coming out for that at the weekend. Stay tuned with Ali from Price South London TV. However, that's what we need to do for the game. I think there's just some fantastic points as well. And again, another point from Glenn. Knocked something out of them and then easily cruised it again. But the idea of the 4-point gap, because we were looking at after the West Ham game, and everybody was going, "Oh, we've lost top four." People were getting a bit emotional. I was like, right, let's just keep it real. Now that the other teams have dropped points a little bit, it's coming back into our hands now, Alex, and it's looking good in my opinion. I mean, I'll get the table up in just a second, but it is looking good in the position we're in at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? One thing that I thought of during the game was, last season, I don't think we'd be in this position in the sense of, I feel like we'd have a game like this where, most of us would be talking about, we're expecting to win and we'd somehow lose it. This season, completely different, a very determined win, team effort, 3-0 win. Then you look at the standings right now, we are sitting in third place comfortably, in my opinion, especially with West Ham and Chelsea squaring off against each other this weekend. That is huge. I was, for me, the best way to look at it is you hope that, West Ham and Chelsea draw and we beat Crystal Palace. So, but, I think going into Monday, I think, especially with a victory like this and, going into the finals for the FA Cup, I think there's a lot of motivation and a lot of determination and a lot of points to prove, especially with everything that's gone on this week. I think they're ready and they're willing to duke it out to the end and, claim one of those Champions League spots.
Exactly. And something that I thought we wouldn't mention, but it's still very in the minds of people at the moment since what happened, what news broke Sunday night. Because of what happened and the ESL and the SL, whatever people are calling it nowadays, the thing that's been scrapped at the moment. However, the Spanish Giants are still saying it's going ahead. So make sure just to kind of unite all fan bases and get behind and just go, get out of our team. We don't ever want you. However, this, I think, Rich, put a spark up their arse and just was like, right, we are the example of it. And without trying to get too self-obsessed or self-absorbed, Leicester City pinnacleized that kind of mentality. If you try, you can make it to the top and you can win. And in that case, I think this probably had a big impact on them because in the first half, I think that's what right. They think that these top six think they're big enough to go and play their own league. We're going to show them by beating them at their own game, and I think that's kind of beautiful. And probably Ben Rodgers, as we said on Monday with Alex, I was like, everybody gets together and we push on from this and we just smash them, and that's pretty much what they did.
It's been an absolute farce. Let's be honest about this. And the problem is that I can kind of. There's a part of me that can kind of understand what they were trying to do to some extent. However, A, the way they went around it was terrible. B, the timing of it was terrible. C, the application of what they've eventually come up with was terrible. And then their reaction is terrible because they've all gone in and said, yeah, let's do this. They've seen the reaction and gone, oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. Unfortunately, they then span it and Sky Sports News went, oh, yeah, we were talking about sanctions, but unfortunately, it's not fair on the fans to deduct points or to right. That's utter BS. Obviously, I'm not going to swear because we know. But honestly, if I could, there would for the next 10 minutes, it would be a swearing stream from me. It is absolutely ludicrous, out of order. Because bear in mind, half their fans want this as well to prove a point. It is not fair that they get treated any differently to, say, Sheffield Wednesday, who've just lost a load of points. You know what I mean? Or any of the other clubs. Obviously, we've all seen the tweets. Yeah, we've all seen it. Where all these points, all these teams that have had points. Why was it fair for them? Because of the ownership did something stupid and they got, and also Big Six. What the hell are they on about? Why are they Big Six anymore? When the hell have Tottenham been Big Six? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on in the world today that we class?
Actually, I think you'll find they finished in the top 4 for the last 4 years.
It's unbelievable.
What we won?
Let's be. All right. It's like Forest think they're better than us because they won a European Championship.
1749.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, let's calm down. Genghis Khan is not, you know what I mean? He's dead. He's not the Big Six and the best ever leader. It's calm down. They should be punished just as much as everyone else would have been punished. And that's that. Right, now I'm off my high horse and I've got my frustrations out like that.
Just pull that over to the side.
Yeah, just park that. Let's all like and subscribe. No, I do agree that I think that Brendan has used this as a bit of fuel, and I think all the players have as well, because why it's just unfair, it's ridiculous, and also we're better than half the teams in this Big Six. So they're thinking, hang on a minute, what are you on about? Right, okay, we'll prove why this whole thing is ludicrous and completely unfair, because we'll we will literally destroy most of the teams in your Big Six. The only ones that we can struggle against at the moment is Man City, because let's be honest, who doesn't struggle against them at the moment? So it's it is what it is. But yeah, let's just all hope they all get driven out of football, and never see the light of day of them again.
Yeah, and they all go back to the America and stay there, especially the ones that organise that. I was going to say North America. I was like, Alex, you're fine. There's no Canadian owners. It's not your fault.
Yeah, you're fine, Alex. We all
yes. We take you hostage on this side. On this side,
we'll trade you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, can you run Arsenal Football Club?
Into the ground. Yeah,
exactly. Big money in it anyway. One thing that really cracked me up just earlier was JT to the US Foxes, but West Brom were bad today, but the kids were so much worse. It reminds me of I don't know if you won't have this in Canada, but we have this called Dib Dab, and that's what it or like refreshers. It's something. It's a British sweet. I'll show you afterwards, Alex. But it's literally that colour, and it's that colour scheme, and it's all they colour the badge in red and anyway. It looks like kind of like that's what a quarantine suit would look like if there ever was one.
It looked like
an awful colour scheme.
It looked like a reverse Ronald McDonald suit. Like it looks like terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. All that kind of traffic cones, but it was all sorts of horrible, to be honest. Anyway, moving on from that, but it's like I'll crack me up, JT. I really appreciate that. I want to get on to one man that you spoke about, Rich, as well. Yuri Tillerman. I mean, some of the we know he can pick out a pass, but today, some of them I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that, because I was just going, oh, that was just insane at times.
My favourite one was when he chipped it over to Iheanacho. He just did a lot. It was a first time chipped looping ball. So the ball was played to him. Who was it? I think it was Castagno, actually.
I think it was Castagno,
passed it infield to him, and he just, without look, he looked before and saw that Iheanacho was making the run, and just went, okay, no worries, chipped it over. Obviously, it didn't lead to anything, but it was, in fact, I think it led to a corner in the end. But it was an incredible ball that was just, he makes it look so easy, and I hope we keep him for many, many moons, because he is an absolute baller. I mean, he's incredible.
And try and build a team around him. Alex, what are your thoughts? Because again, today he was just sensational. As also something that doesn't get picked up on is his backtracking and his positional work when he's off the ball, which I think is perfect as well.
Yeah, you know what? For me, I've said this a few times, but I think Yuri is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. There's going to be a lot of people that will scream that he's not, but I think between Ndidi and Tielemans, we have some of the best midfielders in the league. Today just was another point for Yuri. Just the way that he can pass and the way that his vision is just incredible. And he's young still. And this is just going to develop more and more over time, which is absolutely terrifying when you actually think about it.
Yes.
That's nuts. That's just one of the things that excites me because, we have such a young core. And we talk about this all the time, but you don't really process it. I'm in my late 20s and I really think about this in the way of James Madison's young, Yuri's young, Didi's young, Nacho's young, and you just go down the list, and you're like, the amount of the development that they can still have is quite terrifying. And I think Yuri he is already a force to be reckoned with, but I don't even think we've really touched the potential that Tielemans is going to show in the next few seasons.
It might be. It's actually scary how good he could be, and just and bearing in mind he's played pretty much every single game this season for us in every competition he's been there. And again, I can't believe it because there's been so many amazing performances today. One player we haven't even touched on, Alex, and we've touched on him pretty much every game for the last 5 games. Kelechi Iheanacho. I mean, we've not even mentioned him, and he was in that first half. He was 20 minutes. I was like, this guy is insane. I've said this game in, game out, but I was like, where is this confidence, Rich? I've never seen any player that much confidence affect them that much because, again, at times he was unplayable. He was hitting it. He makes somebody today. We've not seen that since Riyad Mahrez. That's it. Insane. Oh, does Alex know what a meg is?
Nutmeg. Through the
Nutmeg.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, the ball through the legs, by the way, not him crawling through the legs.
I almost spelled water out. I knew exactly what it was.
Okay, no problem. I was like, is that something you see on the playground all the time? But
yeah. No, I think for me, the key. If it's okay, I'm going to do a bit of a negative sandwich here, and I always say the not positive sandwich because then that would make the positive bit the meat. So the negative sandwich is that he is absolutely on fire at the moment, and it is incredible to see. And I'm so happy to see him, because when you listen to the teammates talk about him, they just talk about how much they like him and how hardworking he is and just how much of a likable person he is. So I'm really happy for him that he's starting to do this. Now, the negative section is, okay, great. What about when he hits another negative slump? Because he is a confidence player. We've seen what that's had before this particular run he's been on, where he has, let's be honest, been horrendous. And a lot of people were like, well, he's not good enough for this team. Now, the final bit, and hopefully the positive bit that I'm really hope is the truth, is that, yes, he's going to have negative stints again, but this positive is going to be so big that, he's going to be reminded constantly, hang on a minute, mate, look at the run you went on just because someone got injured and you came in and look how good you've done. I think now that this is really taking him to that next level of confidence of actually, you know what, I can have a bit of a bad run. I can have a bad touch because this is another thing. There's, especially on the FA Cup the other day, he had some bad touches initially. He gave the ball away. He wasn't, his touch wasn't as good as it usually is. His touch when it's on form is Riyad Mahrez-esque. Yeah. It's incredible. But when he's not, he gives the ball away every time. It's unbelievable. It just sort of bounces off him. But it used to affect him in a way that was it. Then you knew for the rest of the game he was going to have an absolute stinker. At the moment, it doesn't seem to bother him. It's like, okay, well, next time, and I'll do better next time, and he ends up going and scoring a hat trick or whatever. So, I'm hoping that this is it now, and that he's going to have peaks and troughs, just like every single player does. But I'm hoping now that his lows aren't going to be as low, and his highs are going to be as high as they are now, or even higher.
Yes, and I think, Alex, we've touched on it before, but I think what's brilliant is that Brendan Rodgers has found a formation that works for him. And in this case, the formation is playing Jamie Vardy alongside him because them two just bounce off each other. And with Maddison playing as kind of that Again, he was dropping into a 10, but he was coming alongside as well. Them three were just flowing just so brilliantly today. But Iheanacho, we've talked about it before, but we just have to sing his praises one more time.
Yeah. I was so confident with Nacho this week, I actually brought him onto my my fantasy team and captained him. So I'm pretty happy. But you know what? He is a confidence player, but I think, I agree with what Rich said. I think he's hitting that new level. And that's huge, especially for Nacho, because he's that type of player. But I also do agree with you, Neil, where it says, Rodgers really has figured out the formation on how he is successful. I think a lot of times beforehand, he was tossed into a situation where, he wasn't comfortable or confident in a certain formation. When he's by himself, like, no offense, he's not as good. But when he has a reliable striker with him, like Vardy, his ability is just on a completely different level. And that's one thing that I'm really excited for, especially this summer transfer window, because I really think that the club is going to look for a striker that, on the time, days that maybe Vardy needs a rest, they can bring in that extra striker that's going to be a 1-2 punch with Nacho. But I still got, Nacho, just what he has been able to do this season. And I think there was a comment, Nacho has, in my opinion, become one of, if not the player of the season. He has come in during a time where, we've been dealing with injuries, cold streaks, and he's delivered. He's delivered time and time again. He's the reason why we are in an FA Cup final. And he continues to deliver week in and week out. And, I think that is something that we really, really need to celebrate and, give him a good old high five, because fantastic season on his part.
Exactly, and it's been fantastic. I just want to bring up one question point as well from the Greek Foxes. So thank you so much for commenting on this one. Complete performance, no fresh injuries, which is always a good thing. I mean, we could take back to the Arsenal game. We're going, oh my God, everybody's injured. What's going on with our lives? 3 points right in the right direction. Exactly. The owners is fantastic. They don't allow. I think Brendan Rodgers plays a big part in that. And one thing I forgot, I thought about halfway through, we've got before I will get back to it. We've got no red cards this season. No disciplinary issues, disciplinary issues, but in terms of red cards, we haven't had to deal with anything so far. And I think that's been something to celebrate as well. But again, and Palace on Monday, even with the ESL, I think they looked for revenge and looked for vengeance for that. And they took it in performance today, but just sublime and sensational. And he's putting us into a good position. Let me just get up the Premier League table, because I said I was going to, but then I didn't. And then let's get all the table. So at the moment, as you can see, we're on 59 points. Same games played as Chelsea. Tottenham have a game in hand. They're 53. So by the time if we win the next game, we're 62 to 53, and that gap is till 6th. And that's what we're really looking at, because at the end of the day, that is still a pretty big gap. And it was something I was looking at coming into this game, that I wasn't sure that exactly what was going to happen. But Rich, that leaves in such a good position. I know we've got 5 games left, but to go into those last 3 games, especially since them 3 teams were the ESL teams, we're going to have a point to prove in order to smash them. In my opinion, that's going to really work in our favour.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that, look, we've had this discussion many times pre-chat, after the chat, and we've had this discussion on this chat as well about, the top 4 in the Champions League places, and we've talked about how negative people can get when they're like, oh well, it's gone. We've seen this months ago where people were tweeting, oh, top 4's gone. Well, we've still not dropped out of the top 4, and we're still the only team that hasn't dropped out of the top 4.
Yeah.
Now, don't
and we'll keep shouting about it on this program.
Yeah, and I've said several times, I do not believe we're going to drop out of the top 4. I genuinely believe we're going to get Champions League. Now, I might be wrong. And you know what? If we are, I'll be really annoyed. I'll be really upset, and I'll go, yeah, fair enough. I'll hold my hands up and say I'm wrong. But I would rather have that viewpoint than just be like, well, we've not won it. We're not going to get it. And just to be that voice of negativity, because it can only be better. And that's all they're doing, is if we say it's going to be the worst it is, then if we get it, then great, it's good. Well, have a bit of faith in your team. Have a bit of faith that your players are going to perform. and that they're going to go out there and prove it, that they want this. And they are proving that they want it every single time they go out there. So for me, like you say, the next 3 games completely winnable. So the next 2 games are completely winnable, and or is it the next 3? Anyway, but I know the last 3 games are really, really difficult.
Yes.
However, we are going to do. We're not going to get trampled on. I'm not going to say we're going to win every game now to the end of the season. I'm not going to. However, we're going to be in the top 4 by the end of the season, and we are going to get the Champions League. And I genuinely think out those last 3 games, I think we're going to win at least 2 of them. So for me, it's just that thing of we're there on merit. So let's remember that, everyone. We're there on merit. We're not there because we've been lucky. We're not there because teams have had points deducted and we've just got jumped up. We're there because we've won the amount of games to get to that point. So we are a very good team, and that's where we're going to finish where we finish based on merit. And
also, it's I totally agree with what Rich is saying as well, what we were saying, Rich. But the thing is, all the other teams in that position have a hard run in as well. As you were saying, West Brom, West Ham and Chelsea play each other. They've still got to play some tough teams. Bearing in mind, the likes of Chelsea have European football still. They still have to play us in the cup, in the final. So it's not an easy thing just to go, oh, yeah, they're going to win. It's the easy narrative to write us off once again. And in a program, I say it again, I'm not having it. Not because there's too many people writing us off. We need to stick together, and we need to try and earn. We need to try and just push this team as much as we can, and we have been doing well. I think we've done an all right job so far. I've got one thing as well. We don't talk enough about Brendan. I can't really say this. Another brilliant thing by Skep77. The fact that we don't talk enough about, but he's been sensational. He's got the best out of, again, Tillermans, Maddison, Iheanacho is a newborn player. Jamie Vardy was always going to be a success, but the way he's managed to adapt his game coming out of position has been sensational. But Alex, we can't speak enough highly of the man. We speak of him pretty much every time, but this time again, he just deserves so much praise, and the way he's handled all the situations over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you know what, you can look at, I think ultimately you can look at everything that's happened this season, and, every single thing, Rodgers has had a finger on it in some way, shape, or form. Not just because he's the manager, but you know what I mean. He really, the way, and I've been preaching about this for months now, the way that he has grown and adapted, not only his ability to, change formations and change tactics on the fly, but to read the play in a way that, you could see managers and they don't even read it like that. The way that he can just it makes, in my opinion, he is one of the best managers in the world right now. And that is, I will continue to say that. And for Leicester to have, that type of manager who has stated already this week or the last couple of days that he has no plans on leaving, is a testament to this club. He has unfinished business, which he is very excited. And I think all of us are very excited. But there has never been a time where I've ever questioned him. And, we always say it, but in Brendan we trust, because we know that no matter what happens, he's going to deliver exactly what he promises.
Exactly. And perfect. Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. Any other thoughts on that, Rich, before we end up? Because, again, it's just phenomenal performance. Brendan Rodgers, again, I think it's good to end on the manager, because he's, if you take it back to the previous manager and just the way that he treated the club and the things that he was doing, and it's almost a different team and a different mentality. And 60-70% of the squad is pretty much, if not even more, is the same.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, we need to give a lot of kudos to the backroom staff. It's easy. And I get it, because, Brendan is the face of it. So we always think, Brendan. But, obviously you've got the likes of Torre there. He's, Colo Torre knows what he's on about. And you've got some great backroom staff there. And also, obviously the leadership and the absolute integrity that our board and executives have shown, the likes of Susan Whelan and obviously Top and John Rudkin, the leadership and integrity that they've shown, especially during this time, during not just this ESL fiasco, but also the COVID. Not once have they furloughed anyone. They've continued to pay them. They've continued to crack on. They've continued to get on with it. They've continued to give to charities. Even though our funds were cut ridiculously because all our money comes from travel. And guess what? Travel was stopped. So, it's, for me, it's a key thing that it all filters down from the top. And that's
Pardon the pun.
Yeah, pardon the pun. So it does filter down from there because obviously top does have that integrity and that transparency and that absolute love of the club, and that filters down. And so if the players see that and the manager sees that, they're going to want to play for this club even more. And for me, it's such a good position to be in. And what a club that we've got. What a club.
And I think that's the perfect place to end on. Also, we've won before, but I've got to mention the second goal, Johnny Evans with I think that's a corner goal. Does that count, Rich?
Yeah, that's a goal from a corner, and it's his first goal in 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, so we'll take that all the day. And what a header it was as well, properly old school whack. But 3D. Those of you watching 3D, this is the part where you get your money's worth. No, but again, Alex, a goal from a corner, just to finish it all off as well. But something I would mention, but fantastic, Johnny Evans doing what he does, and we've criticised them again from the back. The back three haven't really converted many set pieces they should have. At that one, and then I've got one more point that we're going to finish because I can go on and on and on. But yes, Johnny Evans goal, what he deserves after the phenomenal performances the last couple of weeks.
Well, you know what, like Rich said, first goal in 2 years, but the fact that that the back three and the way that I've been praising Evans for weeks now, just like I've been praising Rodgers, but the way that Evans has been that general in the back has been incredible. So this type of goal, from a set piece corner, absolutely awesome. This is fantastic, and I'm really happy for him. Deserved.
Definitely deserved. And one more thing before I finish, I just remembered something I didn't write down. Kelechi Iheanacho on set pieces, Rich. Something that I really didn't exactly. I completely forgot till now, and I was thinking he's standing over the wall. He's going to dummy it until Alex is doing all sorts of gang signs right now. But yes, in this term, Rich, fantastic, right? To see another player, because Maddison's gone off, and then thinking, okay, Yuri Tillerman's probably. I was thinking initially Mark O'Brien. Mark O'Brien set pieces, okay. And then Yuri Tillerman's over it. I was thinking, okay. Then Nacho takes it, and it was a pretty good hit. But it's another option. We've got so many options on set pieces now.
Well, it made sense because of the position. Obviously, it was the right side of the goal or left side, depending on which way you're looking at it. So it made sense for a left-footed striker or a left footer to hit it. So that would have been a Riyad Mahrez perfect position, a bit further out. But so for me, that made a lot of sense for him to take it. Obviously, if it had been the exact opposite, mirror side, then that would have been a Maddison. Perfect place. So it's great to have that option that we've now got a left-footed guy who can, he was close. They on the commentary they were going on about how easy a save it was, but you wouldn't be surprised to see that go in if it had been slightly higher, top corner, that'd have gone in.
Exactly. But yes, thank you for everybody that's managed to keep track through all of you. We really appreciate you, and thank you for liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. So make sure you hit the thumb button. We've definitely got some good stuff coming up for you in terms of the women's football, in terms of I've got a preview with Price South London Fan TV coming this weekend. So make sure you hit that notification bell as well. So when we go live like this, you can make sure to tune in like the comments have been today. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. It's been fantastic. And again, big up Leicester City. We're through to the final. That's something that we really need to shout about again. First time in 52 years. Fantastic. And thank you all for your brilliant comments from Rich, me, myself, Alex. Thank you. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.